Breakdown Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, sir.
I am Fabian Sandow, and this is Joey.
It's Joey Goldenera, a.k.a. Joey Rants, a.k.a. Ranthony Scaramucci, a.k.a. Big E's not overrated, and I kind of feel bad for shitting on him last week. But anyway, we're back. We're better than ever.
Yeah, welcome to a very special episode. A lot going on in wrestling, so some good stuff and also some very sad stuff. But before we get into it, just want to introduce our guest for this week. Want to introduce yourself?
Hey, this is Rodney Ladino. I think we're going to call me Ladino Heat. Bring me on, guys.
There he is. Are you an Eddie Guerrero mark?
Yes, I am.
Good.
I mean, look, I like technique over power, so certainly he was one of the technical and psychological masters. So.
Okay. Now, but let me ask you though, do you think top 10 all time?
We're starting a podcast like this, huh, babe?
Whoa, okay, yeah. That'd be a warm-up.
Just really quick, just top line. What do you think?
Top 10 all time.
Is he on your list?
If he's not in it for me, he's so close to the top 10.
Okay. All right, that's all.
I'll take that.
Look, there are a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of great talent, and every time people talk about, the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, it's hard because, you can take 5 years and put a couple of guys there, and then 2 years later, someone else shows up, and you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie's great. I mean, I think I could watch Eddie winning the title at least once a year, and every time I pop when he wins.
Yep.
Okay. No, that's good. That's all I wanted just for now. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, thanks, babe.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Just make sure you follow us first at the Breakdown Wrestling Podcast on Instagram. We are live also on all major platforms. So you can check out Apple Podcasts, Amazon Prime. We are on Spotify, iHeart, you name it, we're there.
And subscribe. I think the subscribe link to YouTube is gonna be right here,
right there,
or right here,
there.
but
Yeah.
right here or whatever it is. Just press it. Just press it, and you'll get updated on our new episodes, and you'll thank me later for it.
Yeah, cool. So let's get right into it. Just a sad week in the world of professional wrestling. One of the greats we lost. Definitely someone who had a big impact on the wrestling business, who helped light the spark of the revolution in the wrestling business, and also was a big part of my childhood. R.I.P. to the late great Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. Just a sad day. I mean, what do you guys think about the whole situation? Joey, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, we'll go back and forth, but I think Scott Hall's legacy is he made the Intercontinental Championship so, and he was one of those guys to do that, but he made it so important that it made the World Championship that much more important, which made everybody get paid more, which is exactly what his deal, right? He always wanted the boys to be taken care of, and that's kind of awesome in that respect.
Yeah, Ladino Heat, thoughts?
I mean, he was not one of my favorites, but the thing was, especially in the last couple of years, I've looked at his career, and there's a solid 5-6 years where he made a mark, and you can't deny that. He had the talent, he had the look. We'll talk about this a little later, but he certainly was missing one world title run, and I think things happened and he couldn't do it. But he definitely had that it factor that you guys are always talking about, and he made wrestling really interesting. It was we'll talk about the matches in a little bit, but he could really keep up with the best, and he could wrestle a lot more than you think. It's unfortunate that he was in wrestling where just he was a character when he came in, and then he became a real person. And I think if he was a little later, if someone else had come before him, he would have totally been a world champion easily.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, just his impact, we could talk about the early days now with Scott Hall. I know he started off in the AWA, teaming up with Kurt Hennig, and obviously that was a little bit before my time and before I really got into wrestling. But I was watching some old stuff, and just his look, man. He had the thick mustache, right? And he's like solid, like just a great, you know.
Look, at the time, that was a look. I mean, we're talking 84, 85, Magnum PI.
Magnum TA, right?
Yeah.
Magnum TA?
Yeah,
Oh.
also
Yeah,
mustache,
good show, though.
that hairy-chested, big muscle look. But if you watch his matches with Kurt Hennig, two things stand out. One, Kurt Hennig has not gained any muscles at the time, and Scott is huge. I mean, his back is massive, and he stands around a lot. And at the time, he still hasn't developed that personality yet.
Right.
He's just standing there, and you can tell I'm going to stand here and I'm going to look good. He still hasn't developed. But if you look at him easily, you can think, wow, this guy's going to go places. If he plays his cards right, if you book him right, this guy can go places.
I think he came up in that era, and he said it too in one of the many many interviews, that he was too big to be jobbed, right, to get jobbed, and he was too green to go big, right. So they had to do something with him because his body was so unique and big, and he can move in the ring as well. So he kind of got started he was really green when he got pushed, and even in the small territories.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing that. I was like, wow, he just has a really great look about him. And then once I started getting into wrestling, it was in the 80s era, but then I started watching some early WCW, especially with my brother who was putting me on at the time. And I remember seeing him, I was like, oh, Diamond Stud, he's a cool guy, 1992. I remember it was very gimmicky, right, at the time, and then I just didn't think anything of it. And then, let's fast forward to, so he was there in that era with like Vinny Vegas, early Diamond Dallas Page. There was like El Gigante, like that era, Flying Brian, right? So, I mean, he was more or less just a character, right? Just like a jobber. Wasn't really a main event guy at the time in WCW, right?
But you can see it, he has his hair dyed super black.
Yeah.
He has it looks awkward on him, but it also looks like there's something there, more than before. Now it's like something's happening here. He's definitely gonna be something.
And it was natural, right? So it was so look at I'm not comparing the two in terms of career, but look at Nash, right? I don't think it came as natural to Nash. So you had Oz, you had it didn't look
Vinny
right.
Vegas, yeah.
But whatever Scott Hall did, right? Whatever gimmick he had, it just looked, he played the part very well. You know what I mean? And if it was a cool gimmick, it was natural. So yeah, even Vinny Vegas.
Yeah. And then
they were definitely at that point. They were, he was with DDP, he was with Nash, and they were solid mid-card guys.
Yeah.
And their height and their ability, you're like, these guys could be something.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember seeing him in WCW, and then I was also very big into WWE, all my whole life. And then I saw fast forward 1992, we look at the vignettes of Razor Ramon, and I said, wait, isn't that the Diamond Stud?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Then I was like, yo, he's doing this Miami, Scarface character, and I see it, I'm like, this is so cool. I don't know, I think I was a kid at the time. I was like, this is really cool.
So this is funny. I didn't see Scarface. I didn't know about Scarface until after Razor Ramon, and I'm like, oh snap! He did Scarface. I had no idea. But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, Rodney, what do you think about that whole 1992 Razor vignettes?
Oh, okay. So again, I was just hugely into wrestling at the time, and I knew that it was performance, and I still I saw him come in. I was like, who's this guy? I don't really like him, but I kept watching his matches, and then batter up. He's there 5 months. He's up against Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble.
93,
and,
yep.
I'm a Bret Hart guy. I was blown away that he got the title. I watched that. I remember, I got the videotape the next day because I didn't pay for the pay-per-view, and I knew someone who taped it. I thought he was going to lose the belt because I really thought that Razor Ramon was tough and that he could take it. And watching that match is one of the first times that I was like, this guy's good. This guy's scary. And which is great as a wrestler. You want to believe that you can win a match any night. Right. And I was that match versus Bret Hart, I Legacy, I really thought it was the end. I thought Bret Hart was going to be like a 3-month champion.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I was, after that, I was sold on him as a heel. He was out there. He was making me scared for my fan favorites. He was going to put like little Owen Hart through the table or something.
Yeah, no, and just like another thing too is WWE they're so good with like the vignettes and the production, and then I remember even when he came out, just like hearing his theme song, I was like, that song is cool, man.
Yeah. And then his little,
that was great.
His little the mannerisms that he did, right, with the razor gimmick, right, the toothpick, the talking to the ref, saying
like something happened to this gold, something.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly. And I think I heard an interview where he said that he did that off camera one time just to talk to the ref, and then I think it was Kurt Hennig was like, "Yo, do it on camera," and then that's how it became a thing. So all those little things, and she's seen her do it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I said. Scott Hall's legacy it's in every wrestler. You know what I mean? Like his the things that he's done, it's like everybody's taking a little piece here and there.
Yeah, and then even to add to that, he's also part of like pop culture, because even like the hip hop community, right? Drake wears like Razor Ramon t-shirts, like it was the cool thing. Wale did like a freestyle over that Razor Ramon theme song, so it's like he definitely had an impact. Like
especially again, I think when WWF was still in that era, it was still mainly East Coast kind of territory, right? New York, heavy in New York, heavy in Connecticut, heavy in that Eastern kind of. So it was we grew up on it. Everything was Razor and Bret Hart and Savio Vega for the but it was it's just what else can you say? It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean it. Also, like Rodney, like to your point, like they kind of hot-shotted him. Like he had his debut, he had the look, and then I remember he was teaming up with Ric Flair in Survivor Series '92 to go up against Savage and Kurt Hennig.
Yep.
Yes, and then that got really screwed up because of the Ultimate Warrior.
He had left, right?
That's what it was.
So they brought Mr. Perfect back.
I mean, we're talking about Flair, and Flair's right next to Razor Ramon, so he was getting the work. And I'm telling you, they must have thought for a moment there he was going to go all the way, because his work was just solid. This was your heel, and we're talking about in a time where you had Flair, and you had Razor Ramon, but you had the Ultimate Maniacs. I mean, they looked like they were so colorful, and you had Doinks and all kinds of other.
I remember that.
We're letting go of that time and starting to get into the Attitude Era. But he was definitely one of those real characters. He was an over the top character that started becoming real.
Yeah,
exactly. And then also too, like Razor Ramon was like Vince's prototype of a guy he looks for. So I'm surprised he didn't get the title. At least got one run out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened there, because even if you look at the debut of Razor Ramon or one of his earlier matches, or Vince was calling those matches, and to hear his his joy when he was promoting Razor, right? Especially early on. So it's like something must have happened during that run. You know what I mean? That prevented him from.
But also, I could also see Razor saying, you know what? I don't need the title right now, Brett. I'm gonna make you look even better. Because Scott Hall was just that guy. He was that kind of guy.
I think Scott Hall, he was a big supporter of the guys getting their just due, right?
Right.
So and I think he even mentioned it that he was telling Brett before the screw job, hey, go get what's yours, man, but you gotta. I'm not happy with getting paid, because the IC title was a legit number 2 title, right? So if you had the IC title, eventually you're gonna get the world championship. So I think it was probably his his determination to get paid, and the boys paid, where it was like, all right, wait, hold on, buddy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But he was always a proponent of that.
Yeah. So 1993, right? He was still playing the heel. He was. I remember WrestleMania 9. He fought Bob Backlund. It was kind of a whatever match, right? And then King of the Ring. I think he was semifinals or finalists, against Bret Hart. So he was started getting this momentum, and then I remember Monday Night Raw when he turned babyface. I think Money Inc. was trying to buy him out, something like that, and he was like, "No, I'm not down with that." And then he turned babyface, and the fans loved it. And I was like, "Oh, it makes sense because everyone loved the gimmick. He was so cool.
Yeah.
It's good to cheer
But
him on."
let me jump in here because you missed one.
Which
which
one?
was he got pinned by the 1-2-3 Kid.
Oh shit, that's right.
How do you miss that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just saw that recently, and it took a lot of guts for him to do that, to let yourself be pinned. And I know that we all know that they're tight in the years to come, but at this point, he's probably just he probably just seen him in the locker room a couple of times. Like they're not that tight, but he puts him over, and the work he does in that, like he's fully arrogant in the ring.
Yes.
Everyone hates him.
Good call out.
And like he's slapping the kid around, and then boom, he gets pinned, and then he loses his mind. And now he's got a little mini feud that, he wins most of it, but by the time he leaves that feud, I think it leads right into what you're talking about when he turns face.
Yeah.
So I think
that was the spark. Yeah.
Yeah, in being so generous to another wrestler, the fans really got behind him when they were making fun of him. Money Inc. was making fun of him, and now all of a sudden they were like, no, you got beat, but now we want to see you beat them.
Right.
And that was solid. I mean, that old school WWE. That's stuff they used to do right, which is make long-term stories where you can get behind the character. None of this quick title changes, quick back and forth heel faces.
Right.
It was good stuff, and I myself remember when he turned face. After that, he was Shawn Michaels had lost. I think he got suspended or something.
Suspended,
so
yeah.
they had a tournament for the IC title.
Yeah.
And it was a battle royale, and the last two guys were Rick Martel and
Yes, Razor beat him on Monday Night Raw. I remember that.
Yeah, and I recommend this match. It is a solid. It's not 5 stars, but it is a solid 3.5 super entertaining match. Where once again, I even though at this point I was going for Ramon, I was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to give it to Martel.
Right.
And boom, he won, and the fans were going nuts.
Yeah,
you're right.
And I remember Martel was a solid worker too, the whole model gimmick, but that was kind of already at the tail end of his.
Did he win the IC title?
Was Martel?
No.
No, he never did, right?
No.
I don't think he did.
I think he had a feud with Shawn Michaels for the title. But
with
never-
Sherry.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember that. But also back to the match with 1-2-3 Kid. I'm surprised. I wonder if that was Vince's plan to push 1-2-3 Kid, or if Hall said, "Hey, listen, man, this kid right here got something. Let me put him over, see what we could do."
I think it was Vince's idea, because like he said, I don't think he knew. He was 19 years old, man. You know what I mean? It's like
Kid was young. Yeah.
I'm sure, again, maybe Scott took a liking to him very early on, quickly, because if I'm, a superstar in that era, I'm pretty scared, right? Like, what the hell is this kid doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
What else?
So, go ahead.
I think this, especially with what happened with the 1-2-3 Kid, what's great about it is it gives Scott this a reason to be a total douchebag to everybody.
Yep.
And it plays every week. He's look at him. You know how Vince is with his over the top announcing. He's all like, he's extra bad, and he's doing those things you were talking about off camp on Raw. He's throwing toothpicks at people and yelling at people, and people are enjoying him being mad.
Right.
And classic, you want to see the heel get beat. That's
exactly, and I think it also played a big role in him transitioning to a babyface, which the crowd accepted. I accepted. I was a big fan of it, and then now let's fast forward to March 1994, WrestleMania 10, which is probably that ladder match is the blueprint for every ladder match we've seen since.
Especially for a big man. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
He wasn't that
it's
spot
unbelievable.
type, right? You
know what I mean? And when you look at the ladder matches now, right, that have gone throughout the years, this one still is it. and Scott Hall being so big, I can't get over it. And having such a fluid and nice and beautiful,
and just the chemistry with Shawn Michaels was like top notch.
And you could tell they worked at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they broke night. You know what I mean? Just working that match. You know what I mean? And it was just the epitome of all matches.
I mean, that's one of those matches that you WrestleMania favorites right there.
Absolutely.
That's one
top 10
you can't
all-time WrestleMania.
not watch. It's so good.
Yeah, and I saw a video not too long ago with Scott Hall talking about the match, and that he was just saying how they weren't supposed to go over, because I think there were 1 or 2 matches that got cut from the card because their match went over. So Scott Hall was like, "Listen, man, we're just gonna do what we're gonna do. We're putting on a show right now. You know what? What they're gonna do? They're gonna fire us? They congratulated us. They gave us a big hug because that match defined a lot of stuff. So it's like I was ready to take the heat. I was ready to get fired, but you know what? That match was so good that it's like you just gotta let it tell the story. No rushing.
Yep.
Sorry, I just gotta say that's when I get all riled up. It's for this reason. It's like wrestlers, do what you gotta do, make your money. That's great. But I always love the wrestlers that are passionate about like the wrestling, the art, and like they might get in trouble for like they lost the match, but watch WrestleMania 10. You're not missing anybody. You're not sitting there going, "Oh, where's
Doink the Clown?"
Remember versus some guy. Like I never knew that they cut a match until like a couple of years ago. Like, oh, okay.
And Rodney, actually, they cut like a 10-man tag match, which was like Doink, Sparkplug Holly,
no, really?
Duke the Dumpster Drug. Like nobody wanted to see.
Oh man, we missed out on that. Oh.
Yeah.
Another reason for Bob Holly to be mad.
Exactly.
Yeah, we missed out on like Men on a Mission. Like, remember those guys?
Oh man. But back to the ladder match. They had a rematch, right? And again, it
SummerSlam 1995.
And obviously, it wasn't as great as the first one. But that was the first time they introduced 2 ladders. So they kind of broke the mold in 2 matches, right?
Yes.
So they introduced another ladder into that match, and that kind of broke that mold as well. Funny thing, I think you know this. Obviously, everybody knows this. When Shawn went to get the belt, he missed the belt, and he had to
redo that again.
Reset the. If you don't remember
vaguely.
Yeah, so he climbed up the belt, and the belt was brand new. So that's why Scott Hall was telling the story. It was so brand new that I guess it was like it wasn't worn in yet.
Yeah.
So when he went to grab the belt, he kind of slipped off, and he fell. He fell. And then so then he had to redo the ladder, and in typical 90s HBK fashion, he threw a fit on the ladder.
Can you guys have me on your Shawn Michaels, hate podcast? Because I'd like to be on that.
Oh yeah, it's
only you two, man. I love HBK.
Yeah, now.
Well, he was a prick.
Now when you watch the matches, like I'm gonna watch that. I need to watch that SummerSlam match. Every time I see him throw a hissy fit, it just ruins everything for me. I'm like,
I'll tell you what though. Before we go back to Scott Hall, the hissy fit I hated from HBK was when he stepped on Vader's head because Vader didn't move out of that botch.
There's tons of them, bro. There's tons of them.
Overselling Hogan,
and that was like later on HBK. We're talking about like POS 90s.
He was already a born again
HBK,
and he still oversold Hogan.
We had this conversation on another podcast, I think. But yeah, but it's just, but yeah. So he threw that fit, and then the get the F out of my ring with the brow.
I hated that.
It's always, and again, I don't care how much he's changed. That's his legacy to me. Part of it.
Once a piece of shit, always a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But listen, I gotta say this, because I'm gonna jump ahead to the end here just for a quick second. Like Scott Hall, as we'll talk, he had issues, and when he was with like DDP and like it seems like DDP helped. Even he's no, they're not angels, but DDP was definitely more of a positive influence. And for me, a lot of the bad stuff that happened with Scott Hall starts with Shawn Michaels.
Agree. The whole connection.
They like you got toxic friends. Sometimes our partners are all like, "Don't hang out with that guy because that guy's gonna get you home at 4 a.m. You get in trouble." I'm like, okay, like that's Shawn Michaels. I don't care how stable he is. He's just he
Well, yeah, I mean, he also mentioned too, Scott Hall, was that I think, and again, I'm gonna say AWA. He never drank before when he was coming up, right? He only just smoked a little pot here and there. But Kurt Hennig, who's his best friend, but again, I think he's one of those kind of influences.
Yeah.
Told him, look, business gets done in the bars, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just go home after a match and then go to your hotel room, right? People getting booked in the bars, people getting pushed in the this is where business gets done. So that's kind of that too. But yeah, I'm sure Sean didn't have a positive influence.
Sean cared only about himself, man.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But anyway,
that's a whole other podcast, man.
We'll be digress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's fast forward.
Let's not forget that I did some homework here.
Go ahead. Do it. I love it.
Moan had a great match also with Owen Hart at King of the Ring.
Yep.
Where Owen Hart beat him for the title.
Was that King of the Ring '94?
One of those matches that, like, it's short, but he went into that really thinking that, you know what, Ramon's gonna totally win, and Ramon helped make Owen Hart look like he was a super heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even his feud with Goldust, right? And this is the reason why I love him so much, is that if you look at his promo, right? There's a famous promo about Goldust writing him a letter, like a love letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, in
96.
Early 96, right?
Or late 95.
96 cancel culture is not here, right?
Right.
So you can get away with a lot more stuff, right? What does he say in his interview? He's like, hey, man, basically, this is not verbatim, but he's like, he can do what he wants. It's just, I don't roll that way.
Yeah.
He could have said so much, heinous stuff and got away with it, but he didn't. You know what I mean? It's like, for someone who had such a weird and crazy past, to me, he seems such a genuine kind of nice guy. With demons. You know what I mean? But it's just I never seen he never came off as that douchey vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way because I've seen a lot of footage of him, even when we met him, but we'll get there.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That feud was like for me, that feud was very there's a lot of subtext going on because they weren't talking about it. Goldust was like, is he gay? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's the deal? And oh look, he's making Razor Ramon. But I really liked how it went on because it was you definitely felt like, you know what, Razor Ramon doesn't like you, not for what you do outside the ring,
right?
For your shenanigans inside the ring, as they say, And it was great.
And he
was. I wish they had actually, because Ramon lost the title to Goldust, who ended up losing it to freaking Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, I remember that, and that was already at the tail end of Scott Hall's run in WWF. Yeah, because we're talking about early '96. So I remember as a kid, I used to there was this free hotline you would call in, and it was just a recording of latest wrestling news. So from there, I was hearing about, Razor Ramon's contract is up, and he might be leaving WWF. So I was telling my brother, I was like, yeah, I got this this hotline thing that I found through my friend, and they was like, oh, maybe it's real, maybe he is leaving, right? So then, fast forward, he's not being featured much in WWF, right? So after the Goldust feud, I think he had a match or two, and then he lost both of them, and I was like, wait, why is he not being featured? And then WrestleMania 12, you have the Hollywood Backlot Brawl with Goldust and Roddy Piper, which was supposed to be Goldust and Razor, right? But Razor was already on the way out.
And sorry to cut you off. I don't think he wanted to do that. I don't think he was comfortable. So for what he was saying before, do what you do, but I don't roll that way. He said it on interviews. He wasn't comfortable doing that gimmick. Mm-hmm. I mean, doing that program. And excuse me. And that's why I didn't progress. But looking back at it, he's like, damn, I should have done it. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
I didn't like that parking lot backlot fight anyway.
I liked it.
I loved it actually. It was
Piper was awesome in that.
It was.
Wait a second. I do apologize. I did like the O.J. Simpson part. That was really funny.
Oh yeah.
But they were stiff.
The white
It It was like a legit fight.
I think Piper broke his hand or something.
Yeah, he punched him in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, and almost like whacked him with a baseball bat. It was like no joke.
He played hard. It was great.
Yeah. So then it was crazy. So now we're going to, what is it, May of 96, right? So then I'm watching Nitro, and then I was watching it live, right? Nitro and then Raw, changing back and forth. Then I tell my brother, I'm like, Chris, it's fucking Razor Ramon. He's on Nitro. And then like he hops the rail and gives, to this day, one of the most important promos in the history of pro wrestling as far as the impact it had on the future of the business. So when he says, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. He's like, you want a war? I was like, oh shit, is he still I didn't know at the time. I was like, are we gonna have an actual WWF versus WCW? Like that was insane.
Yep.
I was like, this is Razor Ramon.
And it was him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was him.
With that gimmick.
If that doesn't go well, who knows
right.
where we'd be right now, you know?
Insane. Rodney, what do you think about that?
I feel like I saw it live too.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like I didn't know what was happening. I was shocked. I was sitting there going, wait, why is he? What's happening? Like I felt like the people in the audience, like everyone's like, what? And then people were talking about it because this is pre-internet. So when you run into your friends, like you watched last night, and they're like, what's happening? And week after week, that's boom. The Monday Night War started because of him, because of that, as you're saying, because of that promo. Like, it's so good, and week after week, what's going to happen? And it was so good because we would watch, and some of Nitro was good, but it's also like 2 or 3 hours long sometimes. Like I just want the NWO. What's happening?
No, but it's like you wanted it, like you would thirst to tune in next week because you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and then the good thing with what Nitro did was, they sprinkled some in the beginning, they sprinkled some in the middle, so they made you want to stay because, they just didn't do everything in the beginning and that's it, you're not going to see them again.
He showed up in the announce table later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy.
And it was perfect. It was like you couldn't.
And then also the way Eric Bischoff played to it was like, yo, what are you doing here? This is like, it was just crazy. And then also like Tony Schiavone, he was like, wait, look through the crowd. And Razor Bischoff was like, wow, what's going on? And then that's when they zoomed in on Razor.
Razor, Scott Hall, when he was on, and as there's I'm going to say like between 91 and 98, he was solid. Right. Every punch he threw looked strong and legit. I mean, watch some of his strong matches. He's punching people.
You could hear the snack on it.
Going like, I can see that. Like, no, you think he hit someone. And when people talk about Nash powerbombing Eric Bischoff through the floor.
Oh, yeah. That was Great American Bash.
You forget that starts with Ramon, with Scott Hall saying, you give him the attitude, boom, he pops him right in the chest. Like, that freaked me out. I was like, whoa, he hit him. And I'm still thinking he hit him. And then he gets powerbombed. And people forget that. It's all like it was a setup. Scott Hall being pissed off. Because, no disrespect to Nash, but, like, Nash is not a tough guy. Not like that.
Right.
Like, Scott Hall knew how to, like, do that tough guy. Like, if he came into a room, I was walking around him. I'm like, let's just walk this way to make sure we don't get in trouble. And, when his attitude really kicked off the NWO, because, look, it's Nash, Hall, and Hogan. Who's the toughest guy? Who's the scariest guy?
Right.
Oh, it's Hall, yeah.
I think, he was the most important piece in terms of, like, just oozing the toughness and the coolness, right?
Right.
Like, he wasn't, how I put it, like, like De Niro and Pesci, right? Like, everybody comes for De Niro, right? Oh, Fabian doesn't watch movies, so there's another reference.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand right now.
But they stayed for Pesci, right? You see Goodfellas, you seen Casino, you know what I mean? It's the sidekick, but not, it's like if you need that supporting person. And Scott Hall was, I think, the greatest supporting person in the history of the business, and he was fine with that. And that's why he was the greatest, because he was cool with that. As long as you pay me, dude, I'll be whatever you want, and I'll do the best that I can to be that person. And that was his thing, man. More people should be like that.
Yeah, no, it made total sense. And also, I loved his look. Like, he had like the denim vest with the jeans and like the boots and stuff. It's just like
it's natural.
Natural. And then I'm also thinking too, like, if it wasn't Hall and it was Nash that came first, I just think it wouldn't have felt the same.
Yeah.
Hall was the right person to fucking start the NWO.
That Nash is not the guy to start with. It was definitely Hall, and it was always him. And he really, I heard that, or I read somewhere that the Rock had actually said, to Scott Hall that you were one of like my inspirations to build a character, and I can see that because Scott Hall, again, a couple of years later, he could have done his own thing just based on his attitude.
Yep.
Right.
Look at The Rock's punches, by the way.
It's the same.
The way he does punches. Yeah.
Like the little smack to it. Right.
Yeah. It's you don't.
I never noticed.
Right. You know who put me on that? It was the Hurricane. The Hurricane tweeted like, "Oh, I always wondered, if that was the case because I looked at your punches. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, and then I'm same thing as Rock.
Yeah, Hall and Rock punch the same way.
Yeah. So again, and we'll probably learn more and more as
Joey Goldenera dropping knowledge.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, it sucks that it takes a person, like dying to kind of like look at his influence and everything.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure it's not going to be the only time we're going to be like, oh snap, because now when I watch wrestling, I want to see like, let me see if I can see any Razor here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has a piece of, Razor in them somehow, or took a piece from somebody who took a piece. You know what I mean? Like, that 6 degrees of separation. Like, yeah, he's more important than we think. You know what I mean? Than a lot of people think in the industry.
Yeah, and the thing about Hall is like he didn't have to talk too much, right? He just does like the hey yo, just to start off, and people eat it up. That's it. And
or the smoky fingers, or the little stuff like that, man. All of it worked. And he was fine by being the guy inside.
Exactly.
And that's why and that's why he personified that everything, because I can't even talk. So
no, and then also like he was never one to like politic to like try to get to that level. Like he was fine putting people over.
Yes.
Like no problem.
No.
Yeah. I think there's unfortunately that attitude did not help him because now he's in WCW and like he's kind of going with the flow, but the flow of that place was a disaster.
Right.
And like this is where he starts like really doing massive drugs and drinking, and then WCW does like the grossest thing possible, which is they make a storyline about his alcoholism. And
I remember that.
I remember the match where he fought, and it was a huge deal. I remember it was at a pay-per-view. I was like, great. I'm looking forward to Nash beating the crap out of him and teaching him a lesson. And it was just like a really sad match that wasn't so much a story as like, this is too real, but not in a good way.
Yeah. Wasn't there like...
Remember that match where like basically Nash beats him, but he's so drunk that he doesn't even pin him and he loses by countout.
Oh, vaguely. I gotta watch that. There was also one where like Hall was coming out with a drink in his hand and like kind of playing that thing.
He would with Virgil, right? He would come out with Virgil.
Yeah.
And Virgil would have a drink and stuff like that and stuff like that, and I don't know. But
that kind of sucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so then with this NWO run, I mean, again, one of the greatest stables in the history of pro wrestling, if not the greatest. You could talk about DX, you could talk about any other groups, but...
No, the Shield, are you kidding me? Alright.
Well, you know what? Shield has been erased because Moxley went to AEW.
Oh, no.
So WWE erased it. The Shield does not exist. Right. So if we go now to... Alright, so his WCW run ends, and then, he takes time off, and then we look at... I think he's doing some indie stuff. I think I saw a video where he showed up in ECW. He was there for like 1 or 2 dates. He came out to the Lauryn Hill Fuji's Ready or Not song at some ECW show.
That was ECW?
That was ECW.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That was a big ass arena. Hold on.
YouTube it.
That was ECW?
That was ECW.
I thought that was like New Japan.
No.
You sure, dude?
He had an ECW, yeah, for like 1 or 2 dates. It was crazy. No one. That's like one of the hidden gems that no one really knows.
Okay, we'll see.
I bet my life on it.
All right, I'm gonna put that up right there.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong.
So then, obviously, 2002 comes around, and there's rumblings of Nwo making a comeback in WWE. Obviously, it's not the same. I mean, it's the same core, but it's just a matter of like, let's see how Vince is gonna book these guys, right? I personally was excited, even though we're in 2002. I was more excited also, like, great, these are the original WWE guys coming back, and then also getting Hogan back in WWE was like icing on the cake.
Yep.
But then just seeing them come back at No Way Out 2002, I think that was in February, and then just seeing them all three together, I was like, wow, Scott Hall, like, he still looks pretty good. He looks a little excited out there, and hopefully they can make something great again,
And the pop he got when he said, "Hey yo,"
yeah,
the first time in WWE, like, oh man, that's just unbelievable.
No.
But that was it was an okay run. I think he was still dealing with stuff, you know what I mean? But he was. He looked good. He looked okay against Austin, and he fought a few times, right?
He fought Austin in WrestleMania 18.
Right.
And they had a one-on-one match.
That was not a great match. That was an okay match.
Yeah.
Only because at this point he's not doing well.
Yep.
So he's not, like, you look at the match and you're like, you can do better.
Oh, absolutely.
You can do better.
Absolutely.
And you know why he can do better? Because no one has ever taken the stunner like Scott Hall does at WrestleMania.
He sold that so well.
Over the top, it's still so good. Like, we popped for it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah. And then the run wasn't that long. He left in 2003. I think it was that whole plane ride from hell. I think they fired him for that.
Yeah, he was sleeping the whole time.
Yeah, it was like, you guys should watch that. Was that on A&E? Oh, no, that was Dark Side of the Ring. That was Dark Side of the Ring, yeah. So then he gets let go. Then I think he does a little run in TNA.
Yeah.
In the early days. Then just kind of like floats around, and then we talk about his drug issues, and there was some sad videos I've seen. There was one where I think he could barely walk, and they still brought him out anyway. I think even Just Incredible was like, that's fucked up. Like, he was in no shape to even show up, and they still forced him out there anyway. But then
did he have a 30 for 30 or something like that, or ESPN doc that kind of highlighted everything?
I think he did.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2010, they have the Nwo Reunion at Impact, right? Once Hogan becomes like the GM or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scott Hall's there. He has a little run there, and then short-lived. And then, I mean, we're talking Hall of Fame here, 2014, and just looking at him, I think he was already like with DDP, right?
This is post, DDP and him in recovery. Yeah.
But then looking at him, I was like, Scott Hall looks amazing.
Yeah.
He looks so happy. He's got the white blazer on. I was like, he looks in great shape.
His tan was amazing.
Yeah. I was just so happy for him because I know he had his demons, and just the influence he had on the business, and I was just so glad he got inducted and got his moment.
Yeah.
So.
And then you could see him. I don't want to say deteriorating, but again, I think the wrestling life caught up with him in terms of his body, right?
Yeah.
But you could see him, like I think I saw a video of him a couple weeks ago. He made an appearance. He couldn't step.
Yeah.
He couldn't even make a step without.
It's just sad, man.
It was sad to see Scott not being able to move like he used to.
Yeah.
But at least those last couple of years, and that's something that's like we can say it's positive, is with the help of TDP and just trying to face his demons, he really looked like he was in a good place mentally. And hopefully he that's how it went. It's a shame that he passed, but apparently he slipped and broke his hip. Like, in 63, that's still a good 10 years earlier than you should be breaking your hip. And like his body couldn't take not an easy operation, but certainly the kind of thing that if you were healthier, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sad. wrestling sense. He had a good run, and you hope that his family appreciates the work he did, because as wrestling fans we do. And again, going into the last couple years, I wasn't really thinking about how Scott Hall influenced my love of wrestling, but I keep saying, there's 6-7 years right there that he was a big part of it.
Right.
And even if he wasn't top of my head, his work helped make things happen. And it's not just one person. We're not watching. It takes a lot of people to make wrestling good, and he was definitely one of them.
Yeah, I agree. And they also say he's probably arguably one of the greatest to never win a world title.
Yeah. Again, but when people say, again, I don't think he cared, right?
Yeah, he didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
And he made it possible for people to think that way. Look, if we all do good, you do. You know what I'm saying? If the main event does good, you do good. You know what I mean? So,
right.
You know what I mean? You always work obviously you always want to be the best you could be, but be the best you could be at that moment. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that's what he kind of taught everybody. I think.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
And then we went to WrestleCon in 2019. This was WrestleMania 35 weekend, and the podcast was still in its early stages, getting everything ready, and we had met Scott Hall, and just the interaction with him, he's so down to earth, very humble, very genuine, and really appreciated every fan there. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna sign your autograph and you just keep it moving. He had a conversation with people. So I was like, hey, think you could, shout out the podcast? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? And then Joey's got the video, and it's he didn't do good on the first take, and he's like, no, let's do it again. I want to make sure it's right, and it's just so cool, man.
I had this preconceived notion that and like I said earlier in the podcast, although he was this cool machismo guy and he had demons and all that stuff, he never seemed to me like an asshole, right?
Yeah.
And I was completely right? He had the longest line, right? And he was genuinely just interacting with everybody. Now we've seen wrestlers, other wrestlers that day, Jake the Snake.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, not the best. Right.
It wasn't that good, right? I won't go there. Christian as well, overrated Christian. It wasn't that good.
Christian Cage, yeah.
Christian Cage. Anyway, but
wait. There's a podcast secret's coming out here.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, I can tell you.
There's a little hatred for Christian here.
Yeah, there's some heat.
But there's legit heat. Me and him had a thing where Well, basically, I'll let you know right now.
Spill it.
I'll spill it. So first, Jake the Snake was when our kids was there, and he just made it be known hey, charge those kids. I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? There goes my whole Jake Snake is whack. And then with Christian, right? So Fabian was telling you we're approaching wrestlers, and now Santino was awesome. Everybody was acquiescing from promoting the podcast, right? So we asked Christian had a guy there. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we asked the guy. He's like, "You think it's cool?" Yeah, it should be fine. Cause even his guy thought, "Yeah, no problem. Of course, ask him." And I asked him, and his response was, "I'd rather not." I'm like, and then his guy went on to explain, well, he has his own podcast. I mean, we're three men from we're just starting out, dude. You know what I mean? Nobody's seeing us shit. You're fucking Christian and you have Edge. And I got pissed. No wonder Edge is here because he wouldn't do this bullshit. And then I already paid to see him, right? So I'm like, I don't want to take a picture with him. I'm good. So I had to make my son take a picture with Christian. And those are the 3 lamest pictures in the world. I'm going to put them up too. I have to.
Yeah.
My son is
I think you need to put them up and,
because I think
with my phone,
because
I think a little art to it,
Because I think my son felt my energy. He was like, all right, whatever. I'll take a picture with him. And it's so awkward, man. But anyway, but going back to Razor, his line was the longest line there, right? Him and Ric Flair probably.
And your kids were there with him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we approach him, and he's just like you said, looks you in the eye, didn't rush. He was just speaking to you. And we asked him, he's like, yeah, dude. And then, I have it. And you see it on one of on the promos that we have on Instagram. Yeah. What gets me, and it got me choked up when I saw it, because on the first take he did, like, he was like genuinely like upset that he fucked up. You know what I mean? So he's like, take two. Take two. I'm like, oh man, that was his thing. Like, he was genuinely enjoying cutting promos. No matter who it was. He's like, all right, it's on the phone, whatever. He didn't charge us for that extra. No, he just did it out of the love, right? He just showed real love, and he did it. And I messed up too, because I stopped recording, right? But if you see the when he finished, like when he said the Breakdown Wrestling Podcast, you don't want to miss it, Chico.
Yeah.
He walks back and does the and I stopped recording.
That's his famous walk right
there.
there.
I was so nervous, dude, that I just stopped recording because I wanted to make no disrespect. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, man, and that was like, that put it over the top for me. I'm like, dude. And Nash too. Nash was cool. Very cool. He couldn't get up. He had to sit down. He was like, my knees are messed up. Bring the kids over and whatever. Those two dudes. You know what I mean? Like, those two dudes don't have to. And they're like, get away from me, and we'll buy it, because that's the way this ended up.
Yeah, right.
But Scott Hall, it just he wasn't a dick. I knew he wasn't a dick. You know what I mean? And when we met him, I knew it. Again, no matter what, yeah.
That's so nice to hear, because the problem is, as we all know, like, it's the clique, and the clique is just like was this negative thing for him.
Right.
And it's nice to know that, like, on their own, they were like nice guys, because you see pictures with kids. He's always taking pictures with like fans and wrestlers' kids, and you're like, that seems really cool. Like, that's a genuine thing when you appreciate your fans.
He cut a promo on an Uber driver's kid. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I think I saw something. Yeah,
it was amazing. Like, he took Uber's. Let's say you're gonna find out more and more how awesome this guy was. He took an Uber, and then the driver was like, hey, my kid's not behaving very well. Can you cut a promo on him? And he cut a fucking promo on him. And he cut a promo.
Awesome.
It's just stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah.
And you see him with this famous thing where he gave a legit IC title to some sick kid in Jerry Springer, right? Mm-hmm. I think he did give out 2, and then he said he still keeps in contact. Well, he still kept in contact with one of them, because one of them survived and then was a big kind of advocate for the cause. See how cool. And then a lot of the things he was like, a lot of things he said. And again, he says this, but they were supposed to do something with a kid who had cancer, and cameramen show up, and he was like, I don't want to do it. The kid wasn't there, but he's like, it's not about the cameras to me. It's about just genuinely doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, this is back in the day where
right.
There's no. Now it looks fake. Now it's like, oh, we know, we can just. But he just is genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he just always, and he always kept it real, right? Even in his his darkest night, he's like, dude, drugs are great. Drugs are the best. But if you can't handle them, don't take them. I'm only telling you from my perspective. I'm like, oh, this guy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This guy, he just
keeps it real.
Yeah, keeps it real, and he looks genuine. And he always, and again, when you look at him more and you study him and you see his interviews, especially, his interviews after his career. Yeah. It's always like, he's just a good-hearted dude.
Always gives great insight, man. Fucking love Scott Hall. I'm not gonna lie, like when I found out, he passed, and just watching some tribute videos, watch some old stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I got choked up, man. Just because he played a big part of my childhood, like made me love wrestling and love the character. I thought he was like the coolest guy in the world. It's like, I want to be like Razor. Like, he's just so cool, man.
Yeah. And shout out to WWE for doing that on the spot too, right? Because Razor died, like, I think during the broadcast or right before the broadcast.
Yeah, like right
and
before.
Then, you see Corey Graves getting choked up.
They did something.
Oh, WWE did. Yeah. They cut a whole what's it called?
Like a video
montage of him, and then Corey Graves got choked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was great. AEW, on the other hand, I'm sorry, man. I'm just disappointed on that.
They did some subliminal references.
Subliminal for
like
Scott Hall?
Like Britt Baker had like Scott Hall gear from like the Outsiders.
Yeah, but that's it?
Well, people don't have any, like, rights to footage.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about too. Like, if they don't have any rights to footage at all,
I mean, do like a 10 bell salute with the.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he was that, important.
He was that important, right?
To the bit. Now, I kind of go off and on Twitter, and a lot of people were complaining about that. Yeah. And this is where being a wrestling fan gets a little crazy, because you have these people like, well, he never contributed anything to AEW. And I'm like, this is where I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm sure he had a big influence on a lot of
but just knowing, I think Tony Khan could have done a better job. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't think he even tweeted about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So this is where me and him got a beef here. I don't think he takes the temperature of the room a lot.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, the Britt Baker, the drip that she had was great.
Right.
But other, you start the Jim Ross starting the commentary.
But I'm curious. I'm also curious as to like how many wrestlers we see today have actually been influenced and like saw Scott Hall's like, this is the reason why I'm a wrestler. Yeah, you made me get into the business. I'm sure there's quite a few of them, and I think the story it tells too. It's like a lot of guys, they break into the business because of a character, not so much because someone's a great wrestler, right? Because anyone could be a great wrestler. Like, I think a lot of guys were influenced and got into the business because of Scott Hall. Like, there's some guys, I forget who, like, got into business because of Randy Savage, right? Savage was a great character. CM Punk, I think Roddy Piper was a big influence on him. Piper was a character. Daniel Bryan, believe it or not, got into the business because of Ultimate Warrior. That was his favorite. The reason why he got into wrestling.
Makes sense.
So it's like the character. But it's ironic, right?
Yeah.
Because Daniel Bryan became just a wrestler,
yeah.
right? But it's just crazy how you look at the character and the charisma of the people to get into the business. Not so much because, a great wrestler, right? So I think, Scott Hall, man, it's just tough.
Scott Hall was so good at his role that people just, I think we got spoiled, right? So we always looked kind of past him and saw the bigger guys. And
right.
I think he was just so good at it, and that's why now in retrospect, you're going to find out, what the real legacy was.
And he's one of those guys too, like Rodney, like he just has it. Like, is that it? You can't really describe, but he has it. And there's very few right now that just have it naturally. A lot of guys, you kind of got to force them into like, right, give them a promo and it's still not deliver. But Scott Hall's just a natural at it,
Yeah. I think the only, again, we can go on debate, rants over here, but the only one that I see now with that is MJF, in terms of just having that charisma and having it on the whole time and all that stuff. Can't teach that stuff, man. You cannot.
You can't teach it.
And a lot of these kids today in the business just don't have that. And I don't know how they're gonna, even the big guys now don't have it.
I think there's a lot of guys out there that have some kind of it factor, but different worlds. And just because you have the it factor doesn't mean you're going to make it. And that's like, I heard you guys talking like, I like Keith Lee. I think he's got something. It doesn't mean he's going to make it. He could flop out because a lot of it's like how much work are you going to put in? How much fan interaction are you doing? Because what you're saying, something as simple as saying hi to your fans, that could be what connects you to the fans. And I don't know what's going on with like a lot of the young people now because there's so many ways to meet people now. With the pandemic, people were like getting autographs online.
Right.
Okay, it's just not the same.
Right.
I get it, but if I'm going to like an autograph signing, I want to see the person. Get it online. So who knows? I mean, there's guys out there, definitely, MJF and like, but we'll see. I got like I wish that wrestlers were like stock. I want to invest in like 10 and see which one of these guys makes it, and then at the end I should get like bonus.
I would be a rich person with my wins and losses, but
no, he's called a lot of good ones.
But again, I think it's a generational thing too.
Yeah.
It's like, do they need to put in that work anymore? To continuously evolve, and I don't think that's what's missing.
Right.
Just I'm content where I'm at now. Let me just do this. The same thing over and over again.
Like Dolph Ziggler?
Well, who knows? Who knows? I'm not really too familiar with.
I feel like Dolph Ziggler had it, but he blew it big time. And part of why he blew it was because he stayed in WWE.
I agree.
He should have run, demanded more.
Just don't he was told.
There's so many
No, he's gonna. I mean, again, I'm gonna call it here. Sooner than later, he's gonna get the lifetime achievement WWE run. You know what I mean? For being a good.
He's gonna get the world title for being a company guy.
Yeah, of course, of course. He'll get it. He'll get a shot. He'll get that. You know, okay, here you go. You know, you'll have a few months or a month or two until Brock Lesnar comes back
And beats him in 10 seconds.
At this rate, like, I credit for AEW because they're really doing great with like the veteran wrestlers.
Right.
You know, Sting's run right now is amazing. You know, the Hardys were back. Hardy Boys were back.
Got the theme music too.
Great.
Great.
And they're giving them their just due, you know, which is, you know, like back to Scott Hall. Like, if Scott Hall had kept healthy, you know, he might have gotten a good run somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, if someone would just look out for him like that.
Yeah.
You know, and like, nice to see that. But with Ziggler, I think he's going to end up in AEW before he gets that kind of recognition.
But I think also, like, Scott Hall is one of those guys that, you know, he's still been alive, or give him a role like backstage as one of those like producers, or like help with the promos, like be that influence to the younger guys. I think probably nobody better than Scott Hall to guide wrestlers in their careers. I think he would have been a great influence, kind of like people say about William Regal, right? He's got that influence backstage, and you know, big signing for AEW to me. I think it's going to do wonders, but I think somebody like Scott Hall too would have been very beneficial in the locker room. You know?
Yeah. I just don't think. Well, maybe he couldn't be in that.
Or he just didn't want it, the full-time schedule or whatnot.
Or whatever. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, the legacy of Scott Hall is truly remarkable. I mean, he was the spark that started the revolution of the wrestling business in the 90s. Even Hogan said it, like, he revitalized Hulkamania. That heel run.
Yeah.
It was Scott Hall that reignited his career. Plain and simple.
Yep. Which is why he's on Mount Rushmore. Hollywood Hogan, I mean. Right.
Oh man.
Did anyone ever kick out of the Razor's Edge?
That's a great question. I do not know.
I don't remember that. I mean, it was from a time where like finishers were actually finishing.
That was an amazing finisher, though.
I mean, in WWE, you mean, right?
Or in
general?
Has anyone kicked out of it?
Did he ever face Goldberg?
That's true.
I'm sure that happened.
Was he part of the 150 and 0 or something like that?
He might have been. I can see, but you know, by the time Goldberg was around, he was already not at his best.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if he like kicked out. He probably just didn't, you know, hit him with the Razor's Edge.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I also remember seeing a video. If you watch on YouTube, when Scott Hall made his debut in WWF, this was like a dark match. He came out with the Razor of gear, but long tights though, instead of short tights.
Yeah.
And then when they did his TV debut, it was with the short. Nah, the short was better.
But but I like the way they looked, though. You know, it was pretty cool. And he fought Carmella's dad.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
It's all about the knee pads with the razors on. That's right there. See?
Yeah, I love the color coordination. He always had like different colors on, man.
He never used a razor like a gimmick. You know what I mean? The weapon. Right? Like that would have been so, you know, cheap heat, and he didn't do it.
Oh,
right?
But you have to cut somebody open, though. No.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's probably a little, you know, crazy, but you would think it would be like, all right,
yeah,
he's got the razor, you know, but no.
That's true.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So Scott Hall, man, he will always be remembered. One of the greats, to me, one of the top all time to never win a title. Not that he needed it, but just his influence from a character standpoint, even for a wrestler, a guy his size. I mean, we're gonna miss him. He's definitely made a big impact in the business. Yeah.
Yep. We can go on and on for days, man. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. How you feeling, Rodney? Any other thoughts on Scott Hall?
I was just gonna say his outsider matches versus the Steiners, especially the ones when he first got to WCW. All of them are worth watching. They're
that's a good.
usually hard hitting because the Steiners don't play, and Scott Hall and Nash, especially in 97, 96, 97.
Yeah.
The early time, they were solid matches. So check those out too.
Yeah, man. I will definitely check those out. It looks like a lot of Scott Hall matches to watch, you know, but he definitely's got some memorable ones for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Scott Hall, man, we're gonna miss you, man.
Yep.
For
Rest
real.
in peace, man.
Rest in peace for sure. And also, just really bad, before we close though, you know what I hate too is like, this fucking guy said no, but yet we had Hall, Bischoff, who almost brought Vince out of business,
right,
shouted us out on the podcast. So we're like, Christian, who the hell do you think you are saying no
Wow.
to us? You know what I mean?
And that was the kind of the if everybody else said no, then I'm like, all right, And even still, Christian, come on, but still, okay, we would have got it. But this is after Hall. This is after Nash. We didn't ask Nash for them, but this is after all these guys hooked us up. I didn't like him already, and I'm just that just made it over the edge, the razor's edge. That is.
Oh, boy.
Check us out, Breakdown Wrestling Podcast, Instagram, Twitter's coming soon. We'll have our website up pretty soon. YouTube, again, subscribe below.
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. Right here.
Right there.
And that's it, man. Hopefully, we're gonna keep continuing these episodes, and
we're here to stay, man.
That's it.
All right.
Make sure you guys are back. Woo.
We are back and back for good. Also, make sure you check us out on all major audio platforms: Amazon Prime, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart. We're everywhere, man. So be sure to check us out. All right. So signing off here. You've been watching the Breakdown Wrestling Podcast. See ya.